How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia, and today we're going to discuss, do the Yankees have their mojo back? They just trampled over the Tampa Bay Rays in a 3-game set. Of course, they lost the first one, but they won the last two with a combined 20 runs. This is the offense we've been waiting for. This is the explosion we've been waiting for, and the Yankees finally seem to have broken out of their slump, broken out of that cold stretch. They're winning games again. I think they've won 6 of their last 8 games. They have an off day today. They're going to Boston, then Milwaukee. So a couple of decent opponents. Boston obviously always gives us a little bit of trickies. So hopefully we can overcome them. But this was a series that the Yankees needed to win, right? This was the difference between winning this division and maybe losing this division. We were 4.5 games going into it. We lost a game there, and then we gained 2 back, and kind of going back and forth. But the Rays, they look outmatched ultimately. This Yankee team really showed up to play. There's a couple of players I want to discuss in terms of their turnarounds over the last couple of days, and how important it is to have some of these guys healthy. And this team is waiting on like 10 players to come back right now. If I was to list them, I think you have Anthony Rizzo, DJ LeMahieu, Miguel Castro. I don't know how much he's going to contribute. Aroldis Chapman, Harrison Bader. Hopefully Matt Carpenter can make a return at some point. It seems unlikely. Andrew Benintendi. Who else am I missing here? Scott Efros. There are a ton of players the Yankees are missing right now and that, just need to come back and help this team. But reinforcements are on the way. They're getting healthier. They're not necessarily getting more injured at this point. A lot of their main guys are already down. So they're getting healthier. They're winning without some of these guys. Jose Trevino was activated off the paternity list like 2 minutes ago. So we got our catcher back. This is great. This is a great sign for what's to come. The Yankees are hitting their stride and getting healthier at the same time. This is what you want to see heading down the stretch. About a month left until the postseason. Ryan, how are you feeling after this series? I know you have some big takeaways and some stats to give us.
Yeah, so the Yankees did what they took care of business, which is something I really haven't said about the Yankees in a pretty long time, right? It isn't just, they won the Rays series, which is obviously great. They dominated the Rays series. But they took 3 out of 4 against the Twins. The Twins, I know we own them, but it's not like they're a horrific team. That is an okay baseball team, at least. You go 5-2 against 2 teams that were above 500 when you played them, and you feel pretty good about that. The offense was a lot better. I feel like the Yankees were better at scoring without Aaron Judge necessarily needing to carry them. If you look at those 20 runs, Aaron Judge wasn't scoring like 8 of those 20 runs, right? Which we were talking about this, I believe, last week, where the Yankees were just very Aaron Judge dependent. And of course, Aaron Judge going on a monster stretch definitely would help us. I love to see Aaron Judge, clobbering home runs every day. But if you can't score when Aaron Judge doesn't hit, you're not going to win postseason games because there are going to be matchups that maybe aren't favorable to Judge. There are going to be days where he isn't going to hit a home run. And no matter how many home runs he ends up with this year, he could end up with 63, 64. That means he didn't hit a home run in a lot of games. And if you look at the divisional odds for the Yankees, which is kind of really the big thing for me here, it's the highest it's been today since on August 28th, when the Yankees had a 94.3% chance to win the division, up 7 games in the division. So one thing they really took away from the Rays was the opportunity to make up ground head-to-head. The Rays had been playing the Yankees better. I believe they won 2 consecutive series against the Yankees. They were 4-2 against the Yankees in their last 6 games played. And the Yankees went out and they took care of business. They took 2 out of 3. The Rays have been very red hot. Now the Rays have to play 5 against the Blue Jays. They play 9 against the Blue Jays in total. They play 6 against the Astros. And we have about 20 games remaining. And if the majority of your games are against 2 teams that are extremely good, like the Blue Jays and the Astros, it's going to be hard for them to make up ground. The Yankees play the Red Sox twice. Mentioned they play us tough, but you expect to beat the Red Sox. They're below 500 team. If you can't handle business there, what are we doing? The Brewers are a good team, but like the Twins, they're not necessarily dominant per se. And then lastly, the Pittsburgh Pirates, you also play them in this stretch. This isn't in chronological order, just the teams I know they're playing in this stretch. And you play the Blue Jays in Texas in October. You should feel pretty good about who you're coming up against. If the Yankees continue to take care of business, they'll win this division with some time to get guys rested up. I'm just really glad we saw the offense play the way that they played because it's been a long time coming. As you mentioned, they have a lot of guys coming back. That's really good to see. If they can get, guys like Bader, like Benintendi potentially towards the end of September, beginning of October back. Bader should be back within, a week and a half, maybe. The pitching has remained to be really good. Jameson Taillon pitched his butt off in that second game of the series. I know he gave up 3 runs, but 2 of those runs, come on. Yeah, Esteban Flores has to make that play. But, you look at the bullpen. You look at Herman. You look at even Garrett Cole's been absolutely phenomenal in the month of September. They've gotten great pitching. And they've had great pitching for most of the season outside of really that month of July where they got shelled. They've had very good pitching. And the offense just hasn't been there in the last month and a half. And if they start to gel together, this team is going to get hot at the right time. Hopefully they put this really bad spell of August behind them. And they're able to go ahead and start going on this toward stretch because you know what? I will say this team was bound to regress from that hot stretch and they've regressed really hard. So they're kind of bound to have a good stretch here. And if they are bound to have that good stretch, you kind of like that it's coming with October very close and not too far away because that could hopefully carry into October. And you have a favorable position in the postseason. If you win your division, you'll play one of Cleveland or Toronto/Tampa. If you can get a matchup against Cleveland in the first round, you feel pretty good about that compared to playing Seattle or Toronto/Tampa, who neither of those teams are at all, not good. I would say Cleveland's good, but they're not World Series contenders. So Yankees just have to take care of business, and they did it this weekend. But we need to continue to see it so they can go on a roll here, not just have a nice 7-game stretch.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's really about consistency, and the Yankees have lacked that the last couple of weeks, really since the All-Star break. But there are a couple of individual performances I do want to discuss that have elevated this squad. You're talking about two infielders who are out of the lineup right now, and DJ and Anthony Rizzo. Luckily, DJ said yesterday he expects to be back next week. So they're giving him about 2 weeks of rest, which is a really good sign. Hopefully, he comes back and that right toe injury is a little bit alleviated. He did say that he was barely even able to rotate his back foot and get any power, get any, his fundamentals were completely thrown off. And when that's happening and you're a great hitter and your fundamentals are shot, you're going to struggle. And his stats definitely showed that. Over 12 at-bats in September, he didn't record a hit. I think he had 1 walk. It was just really bad. And Aaron Boone figured, there's no point in just throwing him out there. He said defensively he can manage the toe, but in the batter's box, the rotation, it just puts too much pressure and it hurts too much. So giving a couple of weeks to, get healthy would be a big benefit, especially if he can maintain that health down the stretch. Now, Rizzo, I think, should be back in a couple of days. He had a blood patch or whatever after the epidural. I think had some leaky spinal fluid or something like that. I don't know what exactly the medical diagnosis was, but he definitely had some headaches, which have now subsided. So I think they're just taking it easy with him, making sure he's ready to go. So I expect him to be back in a couple of days as well. So the Yankees are definitely getting healthier. But the two players I want to discuss, Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres, right? Gleyber Torres had an abysmal August. He hit 180 with a 20.4% on base rate. He started September not so good, hit 200 with a 30% on base rate. But the past few days have been really, really good. His last 2 games, he has 4 hits, including 2 homers and 5 RBIs. So that's the Gleyber Torres we've been waiting for. 2 homers yesterday. He showcased that opposite power. This is the guy that we need to be, needs to be hitting down the stretch. We need this version of Gleyber Torres. He is a difference maker. He is a guy that you can rely on in the middle of the lineup on an everyday basis. And, it took a couple of weeks. I mean, maybe after that All-Star or after the trade deadline, they were talking about floating him in terms of potential negotiations. Maybe got to his head. Who knows? It could be a variety of reasons. Maybe the league just caught up to what he was doing. Maybe he had to shift some of his strategies and fundamentals. And seemingly it's working so far. The Rays are no joke. They're a very good team. So doing it against the Rays means that he's back. Like he definitely is capable of hitting at a high level again. Because, this is not like he's facing off against a crappy Oakland pitcher or whatever it might be. But Stanton, on the other hand, 2 homers in consecutive days. Of course, the first one was off of a position player against Tampa, but end of the day, I don't really care. He got that long ball out of the way, broke the streak, hit a 3-run homer yesterday to opposite field. He was hitting 130 with a 26% on base rate at the end of August. And then in September, he was hitting 136 with a 17.4% on base rate. Really bad. Those numbers are definitely improving now. He had 2 hits and a homer against the Rays on Saturday, and then 2 hits and 3 RBIs via the homer on Sunday. So, Ryan, what is your thoughts on Gleyber and Stanton? How impactful they are to this Yankee team when they're both hitting? It seems like everybody follows suit. We discussed Stanton the other day and how everyone just kind of follows when Stanton and Judge are hitting simultaneously. That kind of sets the tone for everybody else.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, this is not a very easy opponent to hit against. The Rays have held the Yankees to 2.8 runs per game in the first 17 games. Before that, the Yankees blew up and scored 20 on them. And Stanton and Gleyber are key parts to this team. We talked about this in the video. We were talking about Stanton's struggles, where I think I specifically even said, if Stanton hits, the Yankees will beat the Rays. What did Stanton do? Hit. And what did the Yankees do? Beat the Rays. So I mean, I look at Gleyber's swings lately. I look at Stanton's swings lately. They look better just on the screen, just watching the games. And then you look at the numbers, and those numbers back it up. They're hitting the ball a little bit harder. They're barreling the ball a little bit more. If you get, Gleyber to give you slightly better than league average offense down the stretch, you'll take it. Especially considering he's not your 4 or 5 hitter. If you get Stanton to be what he's been as a Yankee offensively, you're going to look really good as an offense. You're going to feel really confident, especially you're going to Fenway. Stan loves hitting in Fenway. So I think this is kind of one of those things where I know this is kind of superstitious. It's not really as much statistical analysis for me here. But I feel pretty good about having Stan have 2 home runs, a home run in back-to-back days against a very good Tampa Bay pitching staff, and then roll him to Fenway, because that's somewhere Stan loves to hit. I think if you can get Stanton on a stretch, you just need to get him comfortable, get him confident, get him handling high velocity, which he did also. He turned around, he took a high 90s fastball the other way for a bomb in that third game. So, getting a 3-hitter or 4-hitter in Stanton, depending on how whether you have Rizzo or not. If you have Rizzo, he's your 4-hitter. If you have no Rizzo, he's your 3-hitter. That middle of the lineup with Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton was absolutely devastating at the beginning part of the season. Those guys were, dropping hell on pitchers because they hit so many home runs. And when you have Rizzo in there, he is an opposite-handed guy. He's a lefty, so he makes it difficult for managers to put in favorable matchups. And, Stanton is someone that, gives that, it just deepens the middle of that lineup there. You're probably going to have LeMahieu leading off. I hope he's healthy from that toe injury when he comes back, because if he is, that's a huge addition. Even if he just gives you on-base skills, he's not hitting for much power. You'll take it. You just need a guy who can get on base. And the rest of the line kind of fills itself out after that. You look at guys like Gleyber, as we mentioned, maybe you get some better at-bats from IKF, as you've seen in that homestand. He had a really strong homestand. Perhaps Oswaldo Cabrera is starting to find his swing. You look at Trevino's kind of just been better than what we ever could have imagined him being offensively. In the outfield, they're going to have guys like Bader coming back who provide some speed. Hopefully get a guy like Benintendi back. This offense, you start to look at, write the names down on the lineup card, and you feel pretty good. I felt like, last week when we were looking at lineup cards, we were looking at some of the worst lineups I've ever seen the Yankees put out in the last 5 or 6 years. But good God, we're like not even a week removed from Ronald Guzman hitting 4th for this team. The importance of getting guys back, not even just healthy, but getting them back in a groove it's crucial, because we know we're going to have Aaron Judge hitting the way Aaron Judge hits. We need to know what the non-Aaron Judge guys are going to do. And this weekend, the non-Aaron Judge guys finally put a dent on the scoreboard. 20 runs. They scored 47 runs against the Rays in their first 17 games. They scored 20 runs in 2 games against the Rays. That still blows my mind. They did everything they needed to do this weekend. And I really do hope that, as you mentioned, Stanton and Gleyber, this isn't just a fluke. This isn't just a couple of good games here and there. They need to get on a roll too, because this lineup, they're pitching well. If the lineup gives them 4 to 5 runs a game, they're going to win a lot of games down the stretch, and they're going to win a lot of games in October.
That's what we can hope, man. The starting pitching, getting Luis Severino. I even totally forgot about Luis Severino coming back too. I wonder how they use him down the stretch. I imagine, he'll slot back in. I think they said in a couple days he has one more rehab outing, and they want to get him right back into the mix here. But he could be an elite bullpen arm, in the postseason. I wonder if they use him even in the rotation. We'll see what happens here. But he said he's been looking and feeling great. I think he hit 99 miles an hour with his fastball against Somerset. So that's a great sign for his velocity too. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify also, there was a report that said apparently he hit 101 down there. Now, radar guns down there, I'm not saying the most accurate, but I don't think he hit 101 this year until he got down there. And we saw a lot of 99. So if you get 98, 99 out of Severino, that vintage 17, 18 velocity as a starter down the stretch, you have Cole in there, you have Nestor in there. Severino as the 3 or 2 in that rotation, you're not scoring off this team. And as you mentioned, the bullpen, how many guys are coming back? Is it Efros, Chapman, Britton, Castro? Yeah, it's 4 major league relievers right there. You don't have to use all of them. I don't know if Castro's actually going to come back. But Britton's looking really good down there. His slider is really good. I don't know. I don't trust Chapman at all. I'm never going to trust him. We know Efros is really good. So that's at least 2 out of 4 guys there that I think can make a big impact. And this bullpen's been really good lately. So, pitching wins championships.
That it does, and especially if you have great run production to pair it with. So hopefully the Yankees offense can continue right here. But I think they seemingly have found their mojo again for now. It might be a little premature, but We've seen them put double-digit points on the board against Tampa, which is a very good team, in 2 consecutive games. By all indications, I do believe that they are, hitting their stride and they're getting healthier. They have many different starters who aren't even in the lineup right now with Rizzo, DJ, Harrison Bader, Benintendi, Matt Carpenter. You get all these guys back, and this team is entirely different. You never have to look at Marwin Gonzalez again. And for the record, Oswaldo Cabrera performing great lately. His bat is alive. He had his first homer yesterday. Congratulations to him. He's been tremendous. And right now, Ryan, do you think that Cabrera is in line to make this postseason roster? Because right now, I think that he very much is. His defense is unbelievable. He can fill many different roles. You have to have an insurance policy for DJ.
Yeah, so if he starts hitting, absolutely, it's no doubt in my mind. I mean, look at the defense he's played in right field. If you look at defensive runs saved, 9 defensive runs saved. I mean, that's tied for the 5th best mark in baseball. And amongst American League right fielders, he's tied for the 2nd best mark amongst right fielders. So you got a guy who's, if he played a full season at right field, he probably wouldn't have Gold Glove. So, maybe he switches over to left field. The arm's really good. He just makes a lot of really good throwing decisions. As we've seen, he's just has either it's a strong arm or just an accurate arm or just good decision making. It's a tandem of those 3 things. If we can get, average offense from him down the stretch, I think he'll make the postseason roster. Because we've seen how he plays defense. We've seen his versatility as a defensive substitution. Perhaps he could be valuable there as well. This team kind of needs to know that their outfielders are coming back. We still don't know about Benintendi. We're not 100% certain he'll be back. He wants to be back, but you can't guarantee anything. He's a nice insurance policy. If anything goes wrong, goes south in your infield, you have an insurance policy. I'd like to see him play Peraza more. I really don't think it makes much sense to have Peraza up and not play him. I think that ruins his development. I like that we're seeing what we have with Cabrera. As you mentioned, he's just, you need that insurance card, not even just for DJ, but for a lot of guys on this team. We don't know who's going to exactly be back. We don't know who exactly is going to be hot and who's not. Obviously, Cabrera hasn't necessarily been the most consistent bat in the lineup, but you're looking at the offense lately and you're like, okay, maybe he's finding his groove a little bit here. He's hit a lot of fly balls. He hasn't hit the ball particularly hard, which is the only, the big thing there. It's been the swings haven't been necessarily consistent over the course of his full tenure here. But I hope and I pray that that home run, that first game against Tampa, that second game against Tampa, and that last game against Tampa are a place for him to kind of build off of and start going on a tear, because we could really use a guy like him as a switch hitter as well, to be in that bottom of the lineup, giving the Yankees what they need defensively and, giving them a little spark offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below. If you think this Yankee team is finally hitting their stride once again, breaking out of that lengthy cold streak they did experience post All-Star break, I'm very optimistic about their chances. I'm excited about the guys getting healthy again. They're winning games without some of their key players, which is a key as well, right? Without Trevino the last couple of days, without DJ, without Rizzo, obviously without Bader, without Severino. They're doing it on the backs of some backups and reserves, and they're really relying on some of these guys to break out of their funk. So it's nice to see that they're doing so and hitting well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions below on the YouTube comments. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.